We just got earnings from Ford, and that stock is falling after reporting mixed third quarter results. The company withdrawing its full year guidance until an official agreement is made with the UAW. The UAW and Ford did make a tentative agreement last night. The union says the deal includes 25% wage increases over the course of 4.5 years, adjustments for cost of living, and the right to strike over plant closures. We turn now to Mark Robinson, MSR Strategy Principal Consultant. Mark is also a former employee at GM. So, Mark, let me get just your first take on this report, Mark. What did you make of the print? Because at least initially here in the after hours, investors seem disappointed.
Well, it's a very rich agreement. They made a lot of important concessions that will result in a significant increase in labor costs over the term of the agreement. Just doing farmers' math, it might go up by $2.5 billion a year in labor costs in between the Canadian Auto Worker Agreement and the U.S. Auto Worker Agreement. So it's
Mark. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Mark. Do you think that this gives room for both sides to claim victory?
Absolutely. Particularly for the union, Sean Fain did things differently. He promised to do things differently. He's had run the strike in an unprecedented way, though I would argue it was highly predictable with game theory based on how he came into office and the history at the UAW. And so the key thing he has to be worried about is ratification. So if he gets ratification of the Ford agreement and then extends the pattern to General Motors, it's a massive win for the UAW. As far as the companies are concerned, the only basic good news out of this round of negotiations is that thanks to the strategy that the UAW followed on the strike, is that even though it's been going on for more than 40 days and longer than the GM strike in 2019, it will cost the companies far less, assuming this ratification proceeds smoothly, than that 40-day strike. So the strike itself has not been as painful as it could have been, particularly for one as long as it has been going on. But it is the contract itself creates significant headwinds for all three of the Detroit companies.
And Mark, when you look at this tentative agreement, they seem to have reached perhaps a deal here on issues of wages and cost of living adjustments. What about the battery plants, though, too, Mark? Because that was another issue here where the UAW wanted to see those plants unionized. What happened to that? What happens to that issue, at least as it relates to Ford here going forward?
Well, GM has apparently already agreed to include battery workers under the national agreement, but they were in a different situation than Ford. They had already hired workers at the battery plant, and the workers had voted to be represented by the UAW. So for the GM, it was just agreeing to fold that whatever agreement they are able to reach with the battery plant workers under the national agreement. A significant win for the UAW, but it's still not as difficult as Ford has because they don't have workers. So it's hard to unionize a plant when there are no workers there. My guess is that Ford has agreed to quiet neutrality and an expectation that when the workers are hired and are unionized, that they will be folded into the national agreement. But they haven't announced what exactly they're doing about the batteries.
Mark, what do you think now are the conversations happening inside GM and Stellantis as a result of this Ford agreement?
They're scrambling to assess the impact of the Ford pattern on their agreement, on their companies, on their bottom line. They, I would be stunned if they did not end up agreeing to pattern economics. It will be almost impossible to get an agreement that's different than pattern ratified, first of all, sent to the members and then ratified by the members. So they will have almost identical terms on wages, pensions, and so on. The issue around battery plants and job security and other sort of individual company issues may differ between the companies, but the economics are going to be similar.
All right, well, we'll keep on tracking it. Thank you so much for your expertise on this issue and your perspective. Mark Robinson, thank you.